What's cracking? Let's give it a second. Hope everyone's doing okay. So I took some of your advice from yesterday's live, and I've moved it up a few hours earlier. So I've never gone live this early. It's 11 a.m. here in Sydney. I usually go live at 1 p.m. So this puts it at 6 o'clock. Oh shit, yeah, 9 o'clock in New York, 6 o'clock in LA. So we'll see how this goes. I'll give it a couple minutes to see if it can let it heat up, and let me send this out to some people, and I'll be right with you. I've been up since 5 a.m. here. There's already a lot to talk about. It's been a busy day in boxing. Some negative stuff, some positive stuff, and some sad stuff. So we'll cover all that in a second. Let's share this to the group. Like I always say, if you're not joining us on Facebook News Today, or Boxing News Today, that link is in the description here on my channel. I'm going to share this real quick and we'll get going. A couple things I want to talk about, like I already said. We're going to talk about the Devin Haney situation. We're going to talk about the WBC, what champion in recess means. We're going to talk about Virgil Ortiz. He has a fight, nothing official, but the promotional companies are sharing news. So it's looking like it's going to be signed this week. And it's something that we talked about last night on the live. I said that Virgil Ortiz's manager, the same manager as Canelo, flirted with some upcoming fight news. And today he shared it. So we'll cover that. Give me 1 second. Join us live. Join us. And then feel free to add whatever you want to talk about. I got about an hour today. So anything you have questions about, anything you want to get filled in on, I do these lives every day. Boxing News Today. My goal is to keep everybody up to date, boxing nerds like myself, on what's going on in mainstream boxing. I'm coming live from Sydney, but I'm from America. And like I said, it's 6 o'clock East Coast. No, 6 o'clock West Coast, 9 o'clock East Coast on Monday night. It's my Tuesday morning. So that's kind of cool. Join us now on YouTube. Boxing news. Okay, here we go. All right. Jack P was really looking forward to Virgil and Tim. These guys put a cancellation date. Yeah, man. I think we all were. Did you? So what do you think of that? They just announced it's going to be Virgil and Serhiy Bohacek from the Ukraine. So I didn't know if these guys put a cancellation date in their contracts. Fuck, man. I didn't know that. I didn't even know if those contracts have been made public. But at least Tim's been posting videos of him training. We haven't heard anything. He has to be kind of sitting, waiting to see what happens. There's a lot going on in the 154-pound division. You got a lot of movement at 54 now, a lot of movement at 40, which we'll get to. 135 pounds is always exciting. But yeah, Virgil Ortiz's manager announced that he has a fight with Serhiy Bohacek for the Bohacek's interim 154-pound title. No, they didn't. I was just saying, yeah, I know. Cancellations are crazy. What could you do, though? You know, I understand when fights get canceled for reasons unknown, that's frustrating, but you can't really do anything regarding Tim Tszyu, the cut, his health. His camp actually talked about yesterday on the live that they took that fight short notice to please the fans against Seb Fundora. And think about everything that Tim Tszyu lost out on. Tszyu probably lost out on a fight, a huge payday with Terrence Crawford. So if I was Tim Tszyu, man, I'd be really, focused and really sort of patient this time around on who I'm fighting next. But yeah, so I posted that in the group. Virgil Ortiz, like I said, Serhiy Bohacek, they're talking about finalizing a fight date for August 10th. So not quite the weekend of August 3rd. We know that card's happening in Los Angeles. Terrence Crawford's on that card fighting Majimov. The very next weekend, they're putting Virgil Ortiz and Bohacek. I wonder if that's going to be their own card, like if they're going to stack that or, it's already coming up. It's already going to be July next week. That's in 6 weeks. I wonder who they're going to put on that. And I wonder where it's going to be. Oh, it said Las Vegas. So Ortiz, Bohacek, Las Vegas for Bohacek's interim WBC belt. It's funny what BoxRec does. If you go to boxrec.com and look at the 154-pound rankings, it has Virgil Ortiz at number 1, which I kind of found interesting. I know those rankings, they use a lot of statistics. It's not necessarily a human vote. I think it's automated. But considering Virgil is coming up from 47 and has only really fought a few rounds at 54, I was kind of shocked. And he doesn't have a belt. I was kind of shocked that he's number 1 on BoxRec ratings at 154. Roy Jones Jr. announced, this is some sad news. Roy Jones' son DeAndre took his own life. I couldn't only imagine what he's going through there. So yeah, rest in peace to DeAndre Jones, Roy Jones Jr.'s son. Not a lot has been said about any specifics. Nothing really needs to be said. You know what I mean? Whenever you have a young man who takes his own life and is that lost into thinking that suicide is his way out, what could you say? You know what I mean? But it seems like the outlets have been mum. I'm on TMZ.com right now. That's the headline on. So it's gone mainstream. Roy Jones Jr. was a cultural icon. People forget about in the 90s the waves, the electricity Roy was causing from not just the boxing community but pop culture. That Nike contract he had, he was rapping. I think he was the first boxer to come out to his own rap song. Y'all must have forgot. And his fight style was electric. People used to put him in their, whenever you reference a fighter by one name, you're great. Everyone just called him Roy, Captain Hook. And he's going through it right now, man. I remember, I was 9. My sister, I have 3 sisters. My middle sister, when I was 9, she was 12. Her best friend committed suicide, and it's never easy. Evening, Johnny. What's up, man? Metander, I moved this up for you. I moved it up 3 hours. I usually go live in Sydney at 1 p.m., but it's 11 a.m. I run. One of the things, guys, you don't know about me, I'm a bit of a nerd. I run 100 kilometers a month. I've been doing it for 4 years. This coming on October 2020, during the pandemic, I was bored and my cardio was shit. So I put on my Facebook, I was like, let's do a running challenge, 100 Ks a month. Who's into it? That was October 2020. I've never stopped. So I'm a bit of a nerd about that. And I usually run at this time, but based on the US times, 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night, I moved it up 3 hours. So where are we at? We talked about Virgil and Bohacek. That's at 154. Hey guys, I want to talk about, we talked about Roy Jones, his son passing, committed suicide. That's just awful news. But I want to talk about all the misinformation in boxing right now, in boxing forums, because I'm a member of a group on Reddit. It's fucking chaos. But on Facebook, I run my own, but I'm also in some of the big ones are Boxing Fanatics, Boxing Society is another big one. But I'm getting frustrated with how much misinformation. You could tell the people who are shit posting. That's easy. Any boxing fan could tell who's the ones trying to get reactions out of people. But what happened today with the WBC announcing that Devin Haney has been positioned to champion in recess per request by Team Haney. When that news broke, and I'll cover that more. If you have any questions, just ask and I'll fill you guys in on this. One of my sources, we all have boxing sources, and hopefully I'm your guys' source, right? But I have my source too. He lives in Ohio. And I follow his page, and he's a former boxer. He's a friend of a friend, and he posts on his page, Devin Haney stripped, LOL. And I go, and I got really, it was bullshit. It's like, so I comment. I go, no, he wasn't stripped. I was like, the only way to get stripped is to do, like, you get caught doing drugs, get caught doing steroids, beating up your wife, DUI. That's when you get stripped. When you ask to take a step away and you ask the commission, in this instance, the WBC, Devin Haney wanted to take a break from boxing, asks to step away. He then requests a champion in recess, which means that he still has his belt. It's just that belt is free to give to other fighters. And whenever Haney wants to come back, he can fight for that belt again. He has it, okay? So the WBC grants him that wish. All of these Devin Haney haters, and my source included, I'm not going to say his name, showing their true colors by posting in all these groups, Devin Haney stripped. It's fake news. I did a short about this about 2 hours ago. That's not what happened. You cannot get stripped from a legal precedence. The only way to be stripped is due to illegal activity. John Jones, UFC heavyweight champ, when he was a light heavyweight, he was stripped for doing cocaine and getting into a wreck and running from the scene. You get stripped. You get caught popped doing steroids, you could get stripped. You beat your wife in public, you get stripped. This is how you get stripped. You don't using words like that to kind of fit somebody's narrative because they don't like the boxer. That's bad for the sport. That's bad for boxing. And I'm not a Devin Haney fan. So I'm a fan of the sport. I'm going to comment if I feel that people are creating false narratives to make the sport look bad. And it's interesting when you call people out online, when you call them on their bullshit, they instantly think A, that you're a hater, or B, that you're a fanboy of some fighter. And it's no. So to clarify, champion recess. When a fighter takes a step away, for instance, the WBC did this with Terrence Crawford. At the moment, he's still champion in recess at 147. Is that right? I'm not a gatekeeper on what's right and what's wrong in the politics of boxing. But Crawford still, the reason why they did this for Bud is they said you could go up to 54, challenge the waters up there, see how it is. And if you want to come back to 47, the belt's still there. So he's a champion in recess. Devin Haney, same thing. His is obviously for mental reasons. He said he needs a mental health break. He needs to get his mind and body back sorted. If you want to add any other conjecture, I know there's a lot of tinfoil hat conspiracies about Devin doing this so he could take personal legal matters against Ryan. We talked about this last night. Whatever the case may be, the WBC grants Haney champion in recess. That's not stripped. So if you guys are reading this in groups and blogs, it's bullshit. It's misinformation. Some people like the sport, people like reality TV type stuff. It's just hard for me to listen now to my buddy who is a source of information when he's posting fake news about a fighter just to fit his narrative because this guy was a big Ryan Garcia fan. And so if ever you're a boxing site, a boxing source, somebody who wants the sport of boxing to be heard in its most truest form, it's hard to be fans of fighters. You can't fanboy a fighter because if that's the case, you're never going to be able to come from a neutral perspective. You're always going to come from one side or the other. And it's something I'm very specific about on my approach is to do both sides. I took a lot of shit for doing a Terrence Crawford video, and then I take shit for doing a Tank Davis video, and then I'll do a video on Ryan. And it's like I could tell these are people new to my channel. They don't understand. So I just stopped commenting on my channel when the haters are hating about what. But on my Facebook group, I go after people. It's such a clown show on YouTube boxing. Garcia's antics and influencer boxing have exacerbated the most cringe elements in the sport. It's only going to get worse. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, Mithrander, when I see I'm slowly starting to poke my eye into bigger. There's obviously YouTube's analytics will send me data on other channels that people who subscribe to my channel that they watch. So it'll tell me who you guys watch. And I'll look, and then I'll see their channels, and then I'll click to see what they're doing. A lot of these guys have had their channels for like a decade or more. I've had mine for less than a year, and they're doing videos, and it's almost like propaganda, talking shit about other fighters or hyping other fighters up. And what that does is just it creates an echo chamber. It creates just this ecosystem of yes men around you agreeing with you. That's not boxing. That's not. We might as well just go to TMZ.com or fucking E-Weekly and talk about celebrities. But with boxing, it'll never be one-sided. And my whole reasoning on that is because it's people die. Like it should be taken with more revelry. And you hear me say this a lot. So Devin Haney was not stripped. Champion in recess. Okay. We got Virgil Ortiz has a fight. Hopefully that doesn't fall through. I'm waiting to hear from Tim Tszyu. You know, we're still waiting to hear from his camp. What's his next move? He's not really that active. The one thing about the Aussie fighters, guys, this is including Pero, this is including George, this is including Jai Patel, this is including Tim Tszyu. Their social media game is suspicious. And look, I would say that if they were all in the room. You know, I've interviewed these guys in real life. And I moved to Australia, and I could speak to it because I've been here since 2013. I know the Australian culture. Aussies aren't really like us Americans in terms of it's not in their culture to be overly confident, I guess. And look, I psychoanalyze this in a way of In America, we grew up with over 300 million people. Let's put that in a nutshell. If you're American, you have over 300 million people, no matter what city you come from. In Australia, the whole country, 22 million. That's it. 22 million in the whole country. The same landmass size as America, but a fraction. I think how many people are in LA? 14 million. So you put LA and, add in Chicago, and those two cities alone have more people combined than all of Australia. Because of this, in the ecosystem of culture, in our country where there's 300, 400 million, since we're young kids, it's loud. We have to put our hand up. We have to talk. We have to get our word out. We feel we have to do things a little bit more extravagantly to be seen, whether we're second grade, fourth grade. It's kind of an outcome of the people of our culture to be, we come from the land of Hollywood, music, pop culture, that sort of thing. Australia doesn't have that. Australia's more of a sort of stick to themselves, not a lot of people, and psychoanalyzing the behavior of fighters. They're boxers. Here's my point. It was fucking long-winded, so I apologize. We don't see a lot of content from their boxers. And because of that, you don't see a lot of fighters in Australia with a million followers on any social media platform. I'd like to see if there is one. But Tim, my whole point was it's tough to find out news breaking of fighters going on from like Aussie boxers without their managers talking. So we don't know what's going to happen with Zoo. The 154-pound division is starting to take shape. August 3rd. It's funny how they're putting that card right the week after August 3rd. If you guys are just tuning in now, Ortiz is fighting in Vegas the week after the Bud Crawford card, August 3rd in LA. So I wonder that's pretty interesting. What else do we got going today? I'm doing a video tomorrow. I'm going to break down Bohachik, the Ukraine. Sergey Bohachik is the interim champion at 154. He has one loss. He had an upset loss in this weird boxing series. If you guys, we'll see how big of fans you guys are, because I just found out about this. There's a boxing series that had, I think it was a European thing. Here it is. They did like 2 shows. It was kind of like a defunct boxing series. And he lost to a guy. He lost to Brandon Adams, and he got knocked out in the 8th round. That's Bohachik's only loss. He's currently on a 6-fight win streak. He beat Brian Mendoza. That's his probably biggest win is Mendoza, and he is ranked number 6 in the world. So it's a big fight. He is that Ukrainian style. He's 29 years old. He's big for the division, but so is Virgil, both 6 feet and 5'11". Tomorrow I'm going to do a breakdown of both guys' careers, who they've been fighting, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and we'll get a little bit more info on what to expect in that fight. Tomorrow I'm posting a video, my prediction video, on Teofimo Lopez versus Claggett. Guys, don't sleep on Claggett. I've been trying to preach about Claggett. Claggett's ranked number 8 in the world. He's won 9 fights in a row, 7 of them by knockout. We've seen Teofimo Lopez come into his fights not fully switched on, and I don't like what I'm seeing so far at Media Week. Once again, if you guys, the more you watch of these lives, the more you'll know how old I am. I could be. My girlfriend says, "Johnny, you act like an old man." I can be conservative at times in terms of behavior, especially with boxers. I don't like shticks. I don't like gimmicks. I don't like fucking people trying to con people, con artists. I'll fight you if you try to con me, that sort of thing. But when we watched the lead up in Las Vegas with Teofimo and Jermaine Ortiz, if you guys remember, Teofimo Lopez's gimmick was the greatest showman. And up until that the fight before that, I think it was when he fought Josh Taylor in New York City, it was a different gimmick. It wasn't the greatest showman, right? This one in Vegas, Ortiz, greatest showman. He's dressed like Deadpool. This past week in Miami right now, he has that same shtick, and he's doing all of his media as if like the showman thing is carrying over from the Ortiz fight. But guys, I thought Ortiz won that fight. I live streamed it. I didn't have Teo, and I'm a Teo fan. The reason why I'm a Teo fan is because I like potential. When Teo's at the highest level of his potential, he's hard to beat. He's one of the best in the world. But I watched Jermaine Ortiz in that fight. Ortiz was more aggressive. He was bringing it to him. I was shocked. If anything, it should have been a split decision. That decision that it was a UD for Jermaine lost. He's had some tough, close losses. That's a kid who just gets chewed up and just forgotten about. But Jermaine Ortiz is a talent. That kid could fight. And what I'm seeing right now in Miami with Teofimo Lopez and getting ready for Claggett, I'm seeing a lot of the gimmicks again. And I know this is sort of his thing. I'm not seeing a really switched on Lopez. I'm seeing a guy in interviews the last 2 days. He's talked shit about Terrence Crawford. He's talked shit about Tank Davis. He's talked shit about Shakur Stevenson. And we could expect this from fighters during fight week, from guys who are more exuberant and flamboyant. But Teo's acting like he's coming off a spectacular knockout victory against Jermaine, which he's not. It was a kind of a flat performance, and he was flat against Sandor Martin, and flat against George Kambosos, and looked good against Josh Taylor. If he comes out flat against Claggett with Claggett's style, Claggett, like I said, is going to go for the knockout. He has nothing left to lose. This is his opportunity. They call him the Dragon. He's Canadian. Like I said, 7 out of 9 wins in a row. 7 out of 9 are by knockout. Ranked number 8 in the world at 140. He ain't coming to play around. He thinks he could beat Lopez, and Lopez is going to have his hands full. This same day, we got Bam. I'm going to be talking about it all week. So I'm doing the prediction video tomorrow. We'll talk about the odds going into the Teo and Claggett fight, and then we got the barn burner in the desert in Arizona, man. If you guys don't know about the lighter weight classes and want to, get interested in more fighters, you got Bam Rodriguez versus Juan Francisco Estrada. That's for the title too. That fight's going to be exciting. And Bam got power for how little he is too. So does Estrada. I think Estrada has hands as well. That's going to be an exciting fight. He's a good domestic level boxer. Canelo Lopez has dips in quality, but he's got this one. Maybe some scares, but seems hugely unlikely he'll get an upset. Claggett is no Ortiz. True story. Yeah, Claggett is no Ortiz, man. But he's going to be there. This will be of the three. I did a post yesterday, and I talked about 3 American fighters who need big wins. And we have the Claggett Teofimo Lopez fight. We have the Shakur Stevenson and Artem Harutyan fight, and then we have the Jerron Boots Ennis and the David Avanesyan fight. And the odds with Shakur and Harutyan's ranked 48th in the world. Shakur should wash him. David Avanesyan, though, is ranked 10th in the world, but Claggett is 8th. So from an odds perspective, of the 3 that could get upset between Shakur, Teo, and Boots, I think Teo would be the one if the one would get upset, it'd be him. I'm not saying he is going to lose, but if he comes out flat, you never know what could happen. Watch Bam against Max Silo had a low angles. Yeah, Max Silo's a beast too. Happy birthday to Max Silo. His birthday was the other day. He's fun to watch. If Bam wins this one, he should be called a legend slayer. Yeah, dude. I mean, Bam has been very vocal about wanting to get the Inoue fight, but I just heard Inoue might fight the Aussie. So I used to, where's my shit? I used to train. I used to train and I used to manage. I managed a female boxer for 3 fights out of Bondi Boxing Club in Sydney, Australia. And during that time, one of the fighters out of the gym that would train there, his name was TJ Doheny. TJDOHENY. Trains out of Bondi Boxing Club with Tony Del Vecchio is his trainer. And rumor is they're giving the Doheny fight to Inoue. And then Sam Goodman, who's an Aussie fighter, who's fighting July 13th, is supposed to fight the winner of that. And Goodman's been sort of campaigning for the Inoue fight. But, man, I want to see Bam go up and fight Inoue, but it's too soon. I don't think that'll happen. So, guys, it is 11:23. Let me do one more check through the group to see if we're missing anything today. What fight are you most looking forward to this weekend, guys? And which fighter do you think has the most chance of getting upset? Is it Boots? Is it Shakur? Or is it Teofimo Lopez? Let's see what those odds are real quick. It's funny how they put in boxing, wherever you guys are located, if you guys have your gambling app, we have it down here in Australia. Do they separate the boxing matches between levels A, B, and C? Because they put grade C fights, grade B fights, and grade A fights down here. I don't ever remember the gambling apps doing that. But, okay, Avanesyan is an 11-1 dog against Boots, all right? 11-1 dog. Wow. They just released the odds for Errol Spence Jr. and Seb Fundora. Seb Fundora is a 3-1 underdog against EJ. And right now, the odds, they released the odds for Lomachenko and Tank. Lomachenko's a 3-1 dog against Tank. That's pretty interesting. Grade B fights. So Boots Ennis, 11-1 favorite. They don't even have the Teofimo. Okay. Steve Claggett is an 8-1 underdog. So this needs to stop in boxing. Look, I try to make do for what they give us, but Boots Ennis, 11-1 favorite. Teofimo Lopez, an 8-1 favorite. And Shakur is going to be something crazy. Shakur, 14-1. You know what I'm saying? This is why the fans talk shit. This is why, as boxing fans, we're kind of stoked about Turki Al-Sheikh coming with that Saudi money, because none of the fights that Al-Sheikh has put together have 14-1 odds. 14-1. Unbelievable. Artem Harutyan is a 14-1 dog. You got Keyshawn Davis on that undercard fighting at 10-1. William Zepeda. Cabrera is a 9-1 dog against Zepeda. Yeah, we just need to see what do they got that Bud Crawford fight at. Madrimov at the moment is 6-1 versus Bud. I'd put it a little closer. You know, if I think Madrimov 6-1 underdog against Bud is crazy. I think it should be closer. I think it'd be more like 3-1. I would cut those odds in half. I don't think Vegas has shown Madrimov much respect. I want to see anyway. Yeah, Figueroa. We forget about Figueroa, man. His style would match up nice with Inoue. His flair, what he brings into the ring, his ability to adapt. I was disappointed with Figueroa's brother. You know how I remember watching, I think it was Omar, right? His last fight. And this would have been like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was one of his only losses. He's fighting in, I think, Los Angeles. And he all of a sudden, you know, started changing his style. Yeah, Omar Figueroa, not Brandon. I always get brothers mixed up. And Figueroa's brother, he's fighting and he's doing this thing, and he's messing his timing up, and he's just getting bludgeoned by a guy that was a 4-1 underdog, and he never fought again. But he was fun to watch. Brandon was always better than Omar. Yeah. But do you remember that Omar fight I'm talking about? When he totally went from like this kind of slick counter boxer to weaving in, dropping his guard. It was a bizarre style that I had never seen. He never fought again. But yeah, Brandon's slick, man. Brandon is slick. He's long. He gritty. He'll be there. He's tough to get hit. There's some good boxers we don't talk enough about, right? There's so many good they say there's levels to it, but I'm only one guy. I can only speak on, you know, whoever is in my ethos at the time. But you bringing up Figueroa, I fucking forgot about Figueroa. I need to do a video on him, man. And it's that mid division, like 130 doesn't get a lot of love. 135 gets love. 126, you know what I'm saying? And it's weird, even up like 160. Think about 160. 160 doesn't get a lot of love, but 154 at the moment is getting a lot of love. There's a lot of good fighters out there that need their you know, due diligence, and hopefully with guys like Turki Al-Sheikh, he could start bringing these fights to a lot of the other divisions. Because man, Brandon Figueroa, I forgot him. I'm glad you mentioned him. I'm stoked now. I'm gonna do a video on him, guys. I got to roll out. I got some running to do. I got to stretch out. I appreciate you. Hey guys, we did 3 hours earlier. Jack Midhander, I appreciate you guys supporting and communicating, and I'll be here tomorrow, same time, guys. Your channel is solid. I bounce on. I look good, but appreciate you. Let's get after it. Talk to you tomorrow, guys. You guys are beasts.